Hi, welcome to this MBL seminar. I'm Kate Andrews and I'm the Real Estate Disputes Partner here at Hamlins. In this seminar, we'll explore how the redevelopment ground in Section 31F of the Landlord and Tenant Act 1954 operates in practice, moving beyond the statutory wording to understand how intention is tested, evidenced and challenged in real disputes. The aim is to equip practitioners with a clear, real-world framework for advising both landlords seeking to redevelop and tenants evaluating the strength of a landlord's case. Our aim today is to move from legal theory to practical application, looking at how landlords can satisfy the requirements of Section 31F of the Landlord and Tenant Act and what tenants can realistically do in response. We'll also be providing some practical tips and guidance. So, today I'll aim to cover what Ground F is, what is required to satisfy the intention element of Ground F, what a tenant can do in response to an application to oppose the grant of a renewal tenancy from their landlord, and then together we'll look at the practical tips and advice. Let's look at the statutory framework. A landlord can oppose the grant of a renewal tenancy on a number of statutory grounds set out in the Landlord and Tenant Act 1954. These statutory grounds are divided into fault and non-fault grounds. Ground F, commonly known as the development ground, is a non-fault ground, i.e. the opposition is not based on anything the tenant has done, but rather the landlord is seeking possession of the property for redevelopment purposes. So, Section 31F. The landlord may oppose an application for the grant of a renewal tenancy. On the termination of the current tenancy, the landlord intends to demolish or reconstruct the premises comprised in the holding or a substantial part of those premises, or to carry out substantial work or construction on the holding or part thereof, and that he could not reasonably do so without obtaining possession of the holding. So taking this further, criteria for Ground F is made up of three elements. We're looking at intention, then the requirement to demolish or reconstruct the premises, or a substantial part thereof, or to carry out substantial work of construction or part thereof, and that the landlord could not reasonably do so without obtaining possession of the premises. So, there must be qualifying works: demolition, construction, or substantial construction. Secondly, the landlord must intend to carry out those works. Thirdly, the works must require vacant possession. This is a mandatory ground. If the landlord proves it, the court must refuse the grant of a renewal tenancy. The burden of proof lies entirely on the landlord. Two timing points are critical here. First, the relevant date for assessing intention is the date of the trial, not the date of the Section 25 notice, and not the date that proceedings are issued. Secondly, although motive is generally irrelevant, the courts are scrutinising the reality of the scheme very closely. This ground is not about what the landlord says they might do one day. It's about what they will actually do if the tenant vacates and its tenancy is determined.